Gotta go, gotta see things, see new faces and brand new things. Gotta go places and do things, maybe to forget.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we're in the brand new 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe, courtesy of Jack G and Volvo Hyundai in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we're in this one today because it is the Santa Fe. I've actually owned a Santa Fe for approximately 7 or 8 years now, and I've really only had one kind of minor issue with the all-wheel drive slipping, and after 7 or 8 years, that means it's still covered under warranty, which means it was completely free to fix it. But that's the cool thing about all Hyundai vehicles is you do get America's best warranty as well, being 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10 years, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, which is why mine was fixed for free. And there is one major change for the 2026 Santa Fe, and of course, I will be going over that in this video. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2026 Santa Fe. You got the SE starting at $34,800, which is a $600 bump for the 2026 model year. SEL for $37,340, XRT all-wheel drive for $41,790, limited for $44,350, and lastly, the Calligraphy, being the one we are in today, of course. This one starts at $47,350, and so that was all pricing for front-wheel drive minus the XRT. That comes standard with all-wheel drive. But for all of the other trim levels, if you wanted to add all-wheel drive, you can do that. Simply add $1,800 then to any of those prices. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Santa Fe is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that puts out 277 horsepower at 5,800 RPM, 311 pound-feet of torque that comes in at 4,000 RPM. Power is going to be sent to the front wheels or all wheels through an 8-speed automatic. That's the big change for the 2026 Santa Fe. So last year, it was an 8-speed wet dual clutch, and I think they were having some problems with it, so they did switch up to the 8-speed automatic this year that they've had for quite a while now. I know I had it in my old Santa Fe as well, so that's definitely going to be a more reliable transmission. So that's a big reason to go with the 2026, in my personal opinion. And by the way, you do get paddle shifters with that as well. But 0 to 60 time comes in at an extremely impressive 6.3 seconds. There's nothing wrong with that number whatsoever. MPG numbers coming in at 20 in the city, 29 on the highway for the front wheel drive, 20 city, 28 then on the highway for the all-wheel drive, taking regular unleaded fuel. But so then before we do any kind of fun acceleration or paddle shifter test here in the Santa Fe, I do want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so there's a little toggle switch located just in front of the wireless phone chargers. Yes, that's plural. That's pretty coll. Toggle switch is how you change the drive modes, and the drive modes are going to include normal, sport, my drive, and snow, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. So now that I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find it straight away. Let's put the paddle shifters here to the test first, and let's see how quickly these paddle shifters are going to react for us here. All right, let's see if it shifts for me first. Oh, wow, it's not shifting. Sweet. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. It's okay. It's actually not that bad of a delay. It's not as quick as a dual clutch is going to be, or a wet dual clutch or something like that, but it's actually not that bad for being an automatic transmission. Like, the paddle shifters are decent, and they feel extremely high quality as well, which is surprising. Like, these aren't just a regular matte kind of plastic paddle shifter. They have a nice kind of gloss finish to them. They're silver, so they're not black either. It's a very nice feel to the paddle shifters. They kind of remind me of the Sonata, so I'm a big fan of the paddle shifters. If you wanted to use them, they're not horrible, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, let's now go ahead and find one more straight away. Let's put the acceleration here to the test this time with the car having full control, and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, I think we got her straight away. Kind of a rolling start, but 3, 2, 1, go. There it is. I like the sound. It sounded kind of cool, but yeah, that's plenty of an acceleration to merge you onto the highway, especially in the upper RPMs. This thing definitely gets up, it goes, but 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds, that is 100% respectable, by the way. It's really respectable considering this is a 3-row SUV as well, so there's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to have any issues in merging onto the highway. I would say if there was any kind of room for improvement there, it's a turbocharged engine, so you're going to get a little bit of turbo lag in the lower RPMs, but it's something that you would definitely get used to and learn how to drive. I'm talking from experience there, so it's fine. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So as expected, you will find four-wheel ventilated disc brakes. That does come standard as far as the 60-0 stopping distance goes. Comes in at a respectable 121 feet. There's nothing wrong with that number whatsoever. As far as braking feel goes, it's pretty much as you would expect the Santa Fe to brake like. It's not a super firm braking feel, but it's not a super soft braking feel either. It's just right. It's just where it should be, so no issues with that. Then touching on suspension and handling. Up front, you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, gas pressurized shock absorbers, front and rear stabilizer bars as well. Overall, as far as ride quality goes, it's probably the first thing I noticed when I got in this one. And that's something about my own Santa Fe as well. Like, they have tuned the suspension so perfectly that it doesn't even need an adaptive damping suspension or anything fancy, because the ride quality is definitely tuned to be on the smoother side of things, which I love. It's such a nice ride quality in this thing. Like, easy road trip vehicle right here, without a doubt. Much smoother than a lot of the competition, I'll even say that. But as far as steering feel goes, the cool thing about the steering feel is it does adjust dependent upon the drive mode that you put it in. So if you wanted heavier weight to the steering, you put it in the sport driving mode, or you could put it in the what is it called, My Drive? I mean, yeah, it's called My Drive. You can put it in that My Drive mode as well, and essentially what you can do with that is make a heavier steering feel, but maybe not do the instant acceleration all the time. So you can kind of customize that driving mode to make it how you want it to be, and that's something I did in my Sonata back in the day, because I always loved that heavy steering feel, because it instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. So something for everybody there. As far as cabin noise goes, we're going, I don't even know what we're going, 35 miles per hour right now. So I'll be quiet here for a second. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Seems perfectly fine to me. I got the AC on a little bit, but yeah, it's a plenty serene cabin. So 100%, it's definitely on the luxury side of things, I would even say. Like, you can tell there's acoustic laminated front windshield and maybe even acoustic laminated front door glass, because this is a plenty serene cabin. So definitely nothing wrong with that. Then touching on rear visibility, because the shape of the Santa Fe, you can't get better visibility than this as far as rear visibility. Looking out my rear view mirror here, because the boxier the SUV is, the better the visibility is going to be. I'll just put it that way. So visibility is just about as good as you can get in a 3-row SUV. Then touching on forward visibility a little bit, rain sensing windshield wipers are going to come in the limited and calligraphy trim levels. So whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn those on for you. Also though, a head-up display is going to be available, and it's impossible to see with polarized sunglasses, but with the sunglasses off, you can actually see it's pretty bright. It gives me my speed limit and then speed and safety features as well projected onto my windshield, so I can better focus more of my attention on actually enjoying the drive here. And the last thing I want to mention with forward visibility is something that Hyundai does with a lot of their vehicles that none of the competitors do, except for maybe Genesis, because that's the luxury division of Hyundai, of course. But anyways, if I were to put my turn signal on here, I have a blind spot view monitor here, which is showing me what is in my blind spot, which is super cool. Nobody else does that, so I love that particular feature. It's not just a blind spot monitoring system in the side mirror. You actually get a camera located on the gauges themselves, so big fan of that. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe, finished in Serenity White. In case you wanted our exact exterior color name, I think it looks pretty darn good in white. But the interior, wait until we get to that section of this review, because it is like this rich saddle brown. It looks so amazing. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with where the Santa Fe is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 5, meaning that the Santa Fe is built and assembled here in the US, specifically Alabama, in case you were curious about that. But starting up front, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights do come standard. The LED accent lighting as well, along with the automatic feature and automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, automatically dims it back to low beams, and when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. But one thing I wanted to emphasize here is there is this H logo found in the headlights here. I don't know if you guys can kind of tell tell, my wife calls it bones. She thinks it looks like bones. So let me know if you think that looks like the letter H or bones in the comments section below so I can let her know who's right. But anyways, active grille shutters up front as well, meaning they're going to open and close depending upon the engine cooling that is needed at any given time. And then you got front air curtains to the bottom corners there, helping direct air around the wheel and tire combination then as well. But that pretty much rounds out the front end of the Santa Fe. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, starting all the way to the top, roof rails are gonna come standard on the SEL trim level and up. Got the handle on the C-pillar as well. I don't know if you guys can see, that's kind of blended in because it's black, but it's gonna be for the XRT and calligraphy trim levels to help you get stuff piled onto the roof, essentially. Got the Santa Fe lettering found on the front fenders. I'll throw a little B-roll clip over top of the video here to show that to you guys. Rear privacy glass does come standard on this one. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they are body colored power adjustable side mirrors. They're going to be finished in a gloss black for the XRT because that's kind of the off-road trim level. Then they're going to be heated for all trim levels. LED integrated turn signals can be had with the SEL trim level and up. And then they're going to be power folding for the limited and calligraphy trim levels. But then taking a look down at the wheel setup, 18-inch alloys for the SE and SEL trims, 18-inch alloys with the dark finish for the XRT, 20-inch alloys for the limited, and then 21-inch dark alloys for our calligraphy trim level. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Santa Fe here, starting all the way to the top, you have a gloss black shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. And then if you're wondering where the rear window wiper is, that is not affixed to the rear glass, but rather it is tucked away up underneath of that rear spoiler there, in case you were curious about that, which leads me to believe I wish they would have made this rear glass able to be like popped open or opened up or something like the Sequoia or the 4Runner, because if the window wiper is not affixed to the rear glass, that gives them the ability to do stuff like that. So I think that would be a pretty cool feature. Hyundai, if you're watching this, try it out, see how it works for you. But LED taillights do come standard here on the Santa Fe. Got that Santa Fe lettering spelled out horizontally, of course. That looks good as well. And then just below it all, they did a wonderful job with this. Most SUVs are tucking away the exhaust these days, but Hyundai does it different, and I love that. You get a single exhaust outlet with the chrome tip, and it looks so dang good. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around to the back of the Santa Fe, when it comes to opening that rear liftgate, it is actually a hands-free power liftgate for all trim levels across the board. You can't beat that. That's so stinking cool. But there is a button on the key fob, actually on the side of the key, to pop that rear liftgate. There's a rubberized button on the liftgate itself then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity behind that third row is going to come in at 14.6 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, of course, the third row does fold down. That's going to bump that up to 40.5 cubic feet. Then with all rows folded, 79.6 cubic feet, which is basically the exact same as my 3-row Santa Fe I currently have. So love the space in this thing. There is a 60-40 split when you fold those rear seats down, by the way. But cargo lighting for the cargo area, of course, 12-volt power outlet. There's a 115-volt power outlet back there as well. You don't always find that. Grocery bag hooks, there's tie-down anchors, there is in-floor storage, but best part is you get the best of both worlds, because typically you have to choose between the in-floor storage and the spare tire. You get the spare tire as well. It is located up underneath of the vehicle, though, next to the exhaust system, in case you were curious. But then making our way up to the third row legroom, that comes in at 30 inches even. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. On paper, that number isn't the best, but the second row does slide forward and back. So of course, if you have third row passengers, go ahead and slide that second row forward a little bit to make room for them. You can do that. There is cup holders for the third row passengers. There's actually rear ventilation as well, and third row USB charging ports coming for both sides in the back. So if you got third row passengers with tablets, that's going to allow them to stay charged up. But then making our way up to the second row legroom, that comes in at 42.3 inches. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. Still, believe it or not, this is how much space I had in the second row there. Limited trim now comes standard with captain's chairs, and of course the calligraphy gets those as well. I love that particular setup. All other trim levels are going to come standard with bench seating. If you go with the bench seating, you get a rear center armrest with cup holders. If you go with the captain's chairs, you get kind of these fold down center armrests there. So either way, you're perfectly fine. USB charging ports with USB cable hangers also coming standard. standard for those second row passengers. I like that with the cable hangers because that prevents the passengers from kind of tripping over the cables when they get into the second and third rows. So I like that idea. Heated second row seats for the limited and calligraphy. Those buttons are found on the rear doors there. Rear side window sunshades for the limited and calligraphy as well. Always love that feature. And there's kind of this pull-out trash can. I'm gonna call it a trash can. It could be just a storage area though, but that is available for the rear passengers too. But then make your way up to the front seats. Stain-resistant cloth seating for the SE, leatherette seats for the SEL and XRT, leather seating for the limited, and then Napa leather for the calligraphy. And by the way, there is a new Napa leather color for the calligraphy. It's going to be called pecan brown. I call it saddle brown, but it is technically pecan brown. But that's what we have here with us here today, and I stinking like it, man. I think it looks pretty stinking cool. But manually adjustable front seats for the SE, power driver seat with two-way power lumbar for the SEL trim level and up, six-way power adjustable passenger seat for the limited and calligraphy, heated front seats for the SEL trim level and up, ventilated front seats for the limited and calligraphy, memory settings for the limited and calligraphy as well. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today. I think the only thing I would add just for the calligraphy trim level would be some massaging seats. That's something at this price point. It's sometimes offered, sometimes isn't, but I think that would be a cool little addition just for the calligraphy. But then making our way to the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping and is leather wrapped for all trim levels across the board. It's going to be heated for the limited and calligraphy trim level as well. 10 and 2 grips are definitely a little bit on the thicker side of things, which I'm always a fan of. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. It's this egg-shaped key with the Hyundai logo kind of incorporated into the key itself. Got lock, unlock, the remote start button also on the front of the key there as well. But all the fun buttons are on the side of the key. So you got the button to pop the rear lift gate, but then you got SMAP Pack, which is the ability to pull the vehicle forward and backwards if you're parked too close to somebody and you don't want your kids swinging the door open wide into the vehicle next to you. Smart Park allows you to pull the vehicle out before actually opening the door so they don't do that. I love that feature. So if you don't get a minivan, that's the next best thing. But anyways, it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that black engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee there. And so once started up, when it comes to the gauges, there are two different gauge clusters. You're going to find analog gauges for the SE, SEL, and XRT trims, but then a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster for the limited and calligraphy. That's what you guys are looking at right now. The one thing I would probably change about the digital gauge cluster is in order to change the look of the gauges, you actually have to go into the infotainment screen next to it, and it's kind of hard to find, quite honestly. So that's how I was able to change it to this classic setup. There's also a modern look, but I like the classic, but I do wish the gauge cluster would be adjusted by using steering wheel mounted controls, as it typically is on basically every other vehicle out there minus Hyundai. So anyways, that's my constructive criticism, but it does give you everything that you need up there. There's speed limit recognition, there's outside temperature, trip A, trip B, how many miles you have left until you hit empty, and I do think the gauges look pretty darn good in my personal opinion. Also like the look of it when you change it to the sport driving mode, gives you a bunch of red hues and stuff like that too. So anyways, then making our way to overall interior quality, a power sunroof for the XRT, dual pane panoramic roof for the limited and calligraphy. So the second row passengers have their own individual moonroof. I think that's pretty cool. LED interior lighting for all trim levels, HomeLink controls for the limited and calligraphy, melange headliner for the limited, suede headliner for the calligraphy, wireless phone charger for all trim levels, but the dual wireless phone chargers can be had with the XRT trim level and up. I don't think you could get that on the XRT last year, but you can this year. So that's pretty cool. Ambient lighting for the limited and calligraphy. I set it to kind of like this brown color to match the seats. You probably won't be able to see it, but it's there. Another thing I wanted to mention is the center armrest here between the driver and passenger. That opens both ways. So you could open it up in the front here if you're in the front, and the rear passengers can open it up in the back as well if they needed to get something back there. So I don't think I've seen anybody else do that but Hyundai. So I think that's a pretty cool little feature. Also, you have two glove boxes, believe it or not. You got the lower glove box, which is traditional, but you also have this hidden glove box up top. You press this little button next to it and it's going to open up. So a lot of people won't even know that's there unless you watch my video. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You also have this hidden storage located underneath of the wireless phone chargers in typical SUV fashion. A lot of SUVs will do that. Always a big fan of that. You also have a 12-volt power outlet down there as well. So if you're a girl, you have a purse, that's probably the best place to put that. But overall, when it comes to interior quality, it's amazing. You also have this matte wood trim found just underneath of the infotainment screen here. You have that suede headliner, like I was saying. You have an aluminum speaker covers for the Bose sound system, at least. We'll be testing that out in a second. Like, there was no attention to detail that went overlooked. It's an incredible job. This is definitely a Genesis on the inside, but of course it's still a Hyundai, but you guys get get what I'm saying. It's luxury on the inside without a doubt. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen. 12.3-inch color touchscreen display for all trim levels. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming, wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You gotta love that. If you wanted a factory navigation system, that's for the XRT trim level and up. There's rear seat quiet mode where it eliminates the rear speakers so the kids can sleep, and it limits the speakers in the front. So that's pretty cool as well if you're going on a long road trip. There's a voice memo system so you can record your voice and then play it back at a later date. There's sports information. There's weather information. You can adjust your ambient lighting settings. You can adjust your seat settings. And of course, your radio information up there as well. So when it comes to the sound systems, there's 2 different sound systems. You're going to find 6 speakers for all trim levels, but the limited and calligraphy. For the limited and calligraphy, that's going to give you a 12-speaker Bose sound system with aluminum speaker covers. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one.
I took his words with me as the light turned green.
That was cool, man. Like, so much bass to this sound system. Like, I could feel it in my chest. I don't know if that's a good thing because I had open heart surgery last year, but I could feel it in my chest, man. That bass was intense. Clarity was crystal clear as well. And again, I love the aluminum speaker covers. I had a Bose sound system in my Infiniti G35 Coupe back in the day. It never failed me. So Bose, of course, is an extremely reputable company, and that sound system is just amazing for this vehicle. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Santa Fe in reverse, you will find an extremely high definition rear view camera. You don't always get that. Also, surround view monitor there to the right that can be had with the limited and calligraphy trim levels, giving you that bird's eye view, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so let me start with the best part. The Santa Fe is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest rating given by IIHS, so you can't beat that. Front side curtain airbags. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, front and rear parking sensors. You don't always get the ones in the front coming standard. That's pretty cool. Forward collision avoidance assist, the best adaptive cruise control system with stop and go in existence, lane keep assist, driver attention warning system, and lane following assist then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts of the Santa Fe, incredible interior quality. You can't beat the matte wood trim, the aluminum speaker covers, the suede headliner. Everything in this car screams luxury. You get America's best warranty. You also can't beat that. It is literally America's best warranty. Smart Park is stinking cool as well, in my personal opinion. I love doing that. It always freaks people out, and I think it's fun to play around with. Third row legroom is kind of minimal on the room for improvement side of things, but again, you can slide the second row forward a little bit if you did have third row passengers, so that can help out with that. The other thing I really like, though, about the Santa Fe, I do like that they replaced the dual clutch transmission last year with a new 8-speed automatic. And technically, it's not new. They've had that on their vehicles for quite a while now, on like the Sonata and a bunch of other vehicles as well. So it's certainly not a new transmission, but it's new to the Santa Fe because, like I said, last year was the dual clutch and it wasn't as reliable as this new 8-speed is going to be for the Santa Fe. So let me know if you guys would get a Santa Fe in the comments section below. I do read your comments. So anyways, that's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff if you wanted to see what's coming next on the channel. Before it gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what I've been doing here for 11 years now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.